Okay, I'm 2 minutes over, so we're going to start this. All right, welcome everyone to this session. This session here. I'm excited to host this together with Manuel Palachuk, and our topic today is how best-of-breed project managers and service managers achieve that top performance, and why you can't even break 60%. Because so much more is possible. There's always another level. Even if we're doing a lot of these practices that we'll cover today, there's always more to fine-tune and implement. So I'm excited to announce or introduce Manuel, and we've had on in the past. We've had many good conversations. We're aligned on so many things when it comes to Agile. So Manuel's been around for many decades in this industry, working in an MSP, coaching, consulting, training, keynotes, all these things. So he's really written the book on Agile Service Delivery, and he's got a lot of content there, a lot of experience. He's implemented this with many MSPs. It works, and the numbers show it. So get into that. And he's written various books. He's been around, as well as his brother Carl as well. You may have seen one or both of them in the industry at different events. So welcome, Manuel.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. And I'm Wim, the founder of TopLeft, as well as two MSPs, Kirchhoff Technologies and Crafty Penguins, which I started 17 years ago and still own. And so with that, actually, let's do a little chat here. We'd love to hear from everyone where you're connecting from today. So post in the chat where you're connecting from. And I'm in Chilliwack, BC, near Vancouver. And Manuel, you're in Florida somewhere?
I'm in Clearwater, Florida. I love Seattle. My brother's up in Seattle. I ran away when I was 16 to Seattle, the big city.
Yeah.
Mississauga, Ontario, Miami, Indianapolis, Rhode Island, Texas, Germany. Really? That's awesome. Minnesota, Oregon. Where in Oregon, Ryan? My son's in Portland. I raised him there. Hillsboro, Oregon, right? Okay, got it. Chilliwack when I was a kid. England.
Somebody knows what Chilliwack. Most time I qualify and say it's near Vancouver. It's rare that I run into somebody who knows Chilliwack. It's not that big.
I used to travel all over Canada, doing service delivery all the way up into almost to the Northwest Territory. Man, I love being up there. I love fishing up there in the Thompson River. Yeah, love that place. Yeah. Okay.
Good. Okay, no, excellent. People from all over, so that's great. So I'm going to hand it over to Manuel for his presentation.
Hey, let's see. Start here. There's that. Get to there and say share screen. One. This should work. Okay. I'm going to talk about a thing called the IT Service Run Guide. And when I say the IT Service Run Guide, if you know me, I developed this program called Agile Service Delivery. And the problem was over like 6 years now, people don't know what Agile Service Delivery means normally. And they start to think it's this, everybody holds hands and sings Kumbaya, big ITIL for large corporations thing, and it's not. So what I also realized was that in this master class that I built, and these concepts that, again, Wim and I are very aligned on, it always starts with the core requirements of what any IT service provider needs to run their service delivery system. And then to me, I realized Agile is the nitrox you pour into the gas tank, basically, to get it to supercharge and to outperform anybody else. So in a way, we're kind of rebranding the core content of how you set up your PSA, et cetera, to this thing called the IT Service Run Guide. I will also talk about Agile because it's important in the second part. But so that's just to give you a heads up. A little bit about me specifically. I have been in this industry for 40 years, coming up on 40 years. I have been in either managed or have run several companies and owned several successful companies. And I've put more people on the cover of Channel Pro magazine than any other coach or consultant in the business. The first thing we're going to talk about is this thing called the 10 Golden Rules. And the 10 Golden Rules of PSA are basically this. Bear with me a second. The 10 Golden Rules of PSA are basically this. they're the core operating for an IT service delivery company. And they start with rule number 1, which is all work is done against a ticket, basically. And again, remember, this is service delivery side, not the professional services size, project size. Okay. So all work is done against a ticket, meaning we stop, somebody calls in, we don't just fix it. We create a ticket, we run it through the process, and we don't put 5 things on it. That's where we come into rule number 2, which is 1 issue, 1 ticket, no exceptions. And the reason for that is if one thing goes sideways, the other can continue on and get billed, or that ticket can close. For example, somebody calls and says, my printer's jammed and I need a new keyboard. Well, we can fix the printer jam over the phone, but we've got to order a new keyboard, and that ticket doesn't close until that keyboard is delivered. So we keep it separate, 1 issue, 1 ticket. Rule number 3, we always work in track time in real time. And as I always say, or as close to it as possible. And the idea is all tickets are quality tickets all the time, right? Because a quality ticket moves through the system faster than a stinky ticket or an unqualitized ticket. Proper status, proper priority, proper work type, all of those things. And if we are working with a client, we're typing up the notes. All we got to do is get the notes done, put in our time, and we never go back. And I have a whole entire course on that, by the way, on working in real time and the importance of it. Rule number 4, everything.
We lost your video there, Manuel.
Lost my video. Oh,
your webcam.
See. There we go. Okay.
Yep.
You can see my slides, right?
Yep.
Okay. Make sure we see. Okay. So, rule number 4, everything we can automate, outsource, or do remotely, we will. And what that means is, at the end of the day, this is what we do. So if you're a small organization, you say, well, we do projects mainly. We have a help desk just to keep our customers happy. But if we can outsource the knock and they can do it effectively, outsource it, right? It's a part of what I write in my book, Getting to the Next Level. Strategic partnering for the things that you can't keep in-house as core competencies. So whatever it is, if you want to learn it and you want to have it as core competency, it's got to be in a part of your training program. But if it's not, or it detracts from where your best money's made, outsource it. And so and then there's the automation, using your RMM or whatever your tools are to automate things. It all actually used to start back when this was the 8 golden rules, and it was 2004. Doing things remotely was important because nobody did things remotely. We always went and trudged to the client's office, said hello, had to be in their face, had to feel like they were getting value and that they knew who we were. And when I told my brother, like, we're going to stop doing things on site if we don't have to. And he's like, well, but we have to have a customer interface. And I said, yeah. And we can do that on our quarterlies or our monthlies, but techs don't have to go out there to fix shit. We can do it remotely. Okay. Rule number 5, all unresolved tickets must end with an up-to-date time estimates, right? And the reason for that is it goes with working and tracking time in real time. If a ticket has a time estimate, then I can look at how many tickets are in the system and the amount of time required, and I can build a backlog. I can know how much work is in front of my team. And I'm going to talk more about that in a minute because it's very important. And when I know my backlog, I know how much work there is in the pipe from my tech side for my team. And it also means I know if I need another tech, or if I'm ready to take on another client. And that's very important. Again, I'll talk about more about that in a minute. Rule number 6, all unresolved tickets end with a witness. What is the next step? And that basically means that if you're not closing the ticket and putting in your notes, you need what is the next step that's definitive. Somebody has to go on site and unjam that printer. Somebody has to call Bob and schedule for us to go out and install that laptop, whatever it is. That way, and Wim's going to talk about this thing called context switching. The idea is and I'll talk more about it when it comes to the Agile concept. If the ticket has all the information in it and then Wittens is summarized, I don't have to be the next person to work that ticket. My fellow tech can pick it up, look at it. If they're a skill set level 2, same as me, and they see that, they know what to do. They don't have to read through all the notes. Maybe they have to if it's getting long and drawn out or it's intricate. But for the most part, they can read that and go, well, I can go on site and pull the paper jam out of that printer. This isn't brain surgery, right? And there's a whole lot of more to that. But at its simplest, It means that every ticket, we know exactly what the next action is, okay? Rule number 7, we always work tickets in a set defined logical order. Mine is highest priority to lowest priority, from oldest to newest. What's closest to being closed, meaning if all I got to do is a follow-up, I'm going to go do that before I crack the seal on a new ticket and start working on it. What's in my swim lane? If I'm a tier 1 tech, I stay in my swim lane. What has my fingerprints on it? If there are 2 tickets, and I worked on that one with Carol and her printer last, and there's another ticket that might be a minute older, but Joe worked on it, I'm going to take the ticket that I worked on because I'm most familiar with it. I have the least amount of context switching. Rule number 8, all work is scheduled 3 days out. Now, there's a reason for this, and it's one of my favorite ones everybody gives me pushback on. And Wim, you had mentioned that there are some of these that you don't fully agree with, and I wonder if that's one of them.
Actually, the remote one was a big one because it's something we saw in our MSP. Is like I think it's you have to de-optimize. There's something I've always been as an introvert techie is like, hey, let's do everything remote and avoid going on site and seeing people. And it's so inefficient to be in your car. But what we did in our MSP in like the last 2 years is scheduled on-site time, and it's been huge for the customer relationship.
Right, but that remember. Go ahead. Sorry.
There's a ton of stuff that they will not submit a ticket for, they will not ask for, but it's friction. And you go on site and they come up with a whole list of all these quick things to solve that reduces friction and makes their life better.
And I have no problem with that. In my methodology, we do our monthly on-sites, which is to go check in on somebody. How are we doing? We walk around the office. And yeah, you do put it like, oh, you need help with that? Let me put in a ticket and then let me fix it. And so there is a methodology for how you behave on site. And you do go out once a month. It's just that we're not going to roll wheels just because Carol's got a locked up printer. If I can step her through it. And if not, then yeah, we'll send somebody out. And if we send somebody out, they're instructed to do everything that can be done, that has to be done, or it can only be done on site. So there are rules that fall into that. So all work is scheduled 3 days out. And I'm going to talk more about that in a minute. It has to do with this backlog that I told you about. If I know my text backlog, then there's a key number that feeds into this why work is scheduled 3 days out. Besides the simple fact that instead of, oh, you just hired somebody and you didn't know that they were going to come to work for you, and now you need a laptop and you need them installed today. Like I think you put in an ad about 3 or 4 weeks ago or 3 or 4 months ago, you knew you hired somebody, you could have told us. So now it's an emergency on your part because you didn't plan ahead, although you were obviously thinking ahead for hiring this person, okay? Rule number 9, we always have quality communications. And that means with our teammates and with the customers. And it's funny, it's one of the hardest things to do. I created this thing called the 10 value aspects of the business, and it's communications is number 1. And there's a reason. We suck at it. And communications, the way I put it is, communications is the anesthesia for the client. If you communicate with them, they're going to be on board with when the network is down and they're frustrated. When it's a simple thing and they don't understand how come it's taking so long. Communications is this beautiful anesthesia for the client. And then the last one, do not give customers false hope. And this is straight up, I'm going to get on that today. No, you're not. Stop lying. Don't say that. You're not going to do that. You guys are so backlogged, and that lost icon is not the most important thing right now. Don't tell the customer you're going to fix it today if you can't, or if it's not the way we roll, so to speak. Okay. Now, the other thing I mentioned about the 10 golden rules is starting at rule number 1, people think this is the hardest, is wow, all work is done against the ticket. 1 issue, 1 ticket. These are the harder ones as you get around. They get around to the communications and not giving false hope. And they say, oh, those are the easier ones. And I'll tell you, in implementation for a lot of years, 20 years, it's always the other way around. Rule number 1 is the easiest to implement, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4. And the hardest ones are actually having quality communications all the time and not giving the customer false hope. Why? Because techs just want to fix shit, and they constantly say, I'm going to do that for you now. Why? That's not the order we work in. That's not how we're supposed to do that. Okay. And so the last thing I will say, I always have this, what I call the golden rule of service delivery, or customer service. Sorry, not service delivery. Customer service, meaning I don't care if you're delivering newspapers, work in a restaurant, and it's not the customer's hours right. It's just take care of the customer. So no matter where we're at on these rules, I don't have a problem with the tech saying, I fixed that out of order for Joe, not just because I had him on the phone, because he's upset, but all those things put together, I just wanted to take care of the customer. And I'm okay with that. It just has to be an exception, not the rule. Okay. So 10 golden rules. Next thing we come up with is Agile 101. So basically, let me make sure I didn't. Okay. Agile 101 is simply this: lead time and cycle time. When you distill it down, you think about any business, almost any business you could come up with. In fact, I dare you to come up with one that it doesn't fit into the profitability, the efficiency of the organization. And again, I've worked in hundreds of organizations across 2 continents, Canada, all the way into Mexico, hundreds of companies, and seen the inside of how they work. And production companies or manufacturing companies, service delivery companies. I worked in restaurants when I was a kid. It's all the same. How long does it take from the time somebody requests something, whether they bought it or you've got to deliver it, and the time you deliver it, and how long did it take you to make that or fix that? So perfect example is the pizza order. Somebody orders pizza, you got to make the pizza, you deliver the pizza. That's lead time. Cycle time is how long it actually took to bring out the pan, roll out the dough, put the ingredients on it, get everything ready, cook it, put it in the box and hand it to the delivery person, okay? And so our business is no different. From the time a ticket goes in to the time it's closed is lead time. How much time you spent working on that ticket is cycle time. And there's a key element, this thing called work wait, which I know I was going to talk about in a minute, that comes into it. And it's that part where the client calls you, we try to fix it, we don't get it fixed, so we're waiting. And then we work on it some more, we still won't get it fixed, we work on it some more. Work wait kills us in lead time, right? Another important element is that if we keep the lead time to its minimum, our average time on ticket goes down. It means that my team can get more tickets cleared in a day or a week or a month, or take that backlog and get cut through it quicker, right? And then there's cycle time. Cycle time is the average time to close a ticket. And if I keep that to a minimum, I can optimize it if I know it. For example, if I said, we figured out that it takes 48 minutes to do an onboarding on average for the last 20 some onboardings we've done over the last month. And I say, if you could improve that process by 5 minutes, and we did 20 of those in a month, that's 20 times 5, right? That's 100 minutes that we give back to the team to cut through backlog. So when you know these numbers, they allow you, there's a saying, what gets measured gets done, and what gets measured can be managed, okay? So there's another element that feeds into this thing. It's called Little's Law. And it simply means that the average cycle time, or how long it takes to get a thing done, you take the average work in process, meaning how many items you have in process, tickets open, and you divide it by the average throughput, meaning how many tickets you can normally cut through in a day. And you're going to find that as work in progress goes up, the average time to close a ticket, or average cycle time, goes up. And if you do, it means that basically the more tickets you have in the open, touched, and working state means the longer it's going to take on average to close those tickets. Lead time goes up, cycle time goes up. Okay. Now there's a whole conversation we could have on this, but I just need you to understand that it also has to do with this thing called queuing theory, which I don't have time to get into. But what this brings me to is this thing that I call the push versus pull concept. When the PSAs, ConnectWise, a lot of tasks, Tiger Jaws, I don't care which one it is, they all tell you the same thing. Stack as many tickets onto the tech as possible and then push them out the door. And then let meetings continue until performance improves. And it doesn't work. And when you say, okay, I'm going to schedule my tech out 8 calls for the day. They're going to leave the office. They're not going to come back until the sun goes down, and they're going to get all these things done. And both of them don't. That in I think Autotask actually calls it. I call it a lot of tasks, for the reason that they say that you should stack, that somebody should own every ticket. So let's say I own 50 tickets and Wim owns 20 tickets. And I say, hey, Wim, but I could use a little help here because I got 50 tickets. And he goes, I'm pretty busy with my 20. So I have this queue of work in front of me and he's got his queue. And when you do that, what you find is as you expand the team, if everybody's only worried about the queue in front of them, you don't have the ability to just take care of the customer or take something higher priority without moving everything beyond it. In ConnectWise and Tiger Paw, they say stack everything and I call it connect dominoes because they say schedule everything out. And we know what happens there. If I miss my first call or I get stuck in traffic, you're going to call everybody after that that's affected and say, I need to reschedule you. And for Agile, that's called a push methodology. That's pushing the work onto the techs and then beating them. Say, right, move faster, work harder, etc. And we want you to work in what's called a pull methodology. And a pull methodology is simply this. Take a highly accountable team with good skill set, point them in an organized, your board and your system is organized, which we're going to talk about that in a minute, and let them pull work from the stack as fast as they can cut through it. Don't worry about assigning it to different people. Put it in a swim lane, skill set tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Assign text to those swim lanes and let them cut through the work. And it doesn't matter whose name is on the ticket. If it's got a what is the next step, I can open it and I can fix it. I don't have to wait for somebody else to do it. This isn't brain surgery. Now, this is a very in a nutshell kind of concept, and I have an entire masterclass on it. But the idea being, I've proven mathematically that a team that uses the pull method or the push methodology or the pull methodology of Agile, instead of push, stack and run, as I call it, can cut through twice as much work in the same amount of time. And one of the ways we prove it is, well, we track. Remember, we're working in tracking time in real time. And this is what I call the heads up. There's a whole bunch of stuff here, but the only thing you really need to focus on, obviously at the top, is customer satisfaction, right? We care about team utilization because it's how many hours of work I'm getting out of a team depending on how much I hired them to do. I look at their efficiency. I look at the backlog, meaning counting up the ticket count of 68 tickets with an average time of 43.65 minutes. This team has got 2 days of backlog, meaning if no new ticket came into the system, they'd clear the board in 2 days. And if I know that, it means I can make and adjust my team effort towards service delivery. Maybe I take one of the techs and have them go work on projects. Maybe I have one of the techs go work some old tickets to reduce our average age of a ticket, or have them improve on a process so that we can reduce our average time on ticket. The donuts at the bottom are the most important part. We want to keep work in progress down so that we keep lead time down. We want to keep lead time and cycle time down so we keep customer satisfaction up. It's that simple. Okay. So again, without reading too much into this, when we do this backlog, the other thing that we track is we track tech performance. And so this is a team of, I think, 7 or 8 people. We track the hours of backlog they have, their kill rate, their performance, and the ticket count over time. And when we do, and we follow the Agile methodology, you tend to see what we call flow. You literally can see the flow in this team and their performance. And over time, this is a company who took on Agile methodology, and once they got up, they were literally cutting through twice as many tickets in the same amount of time, and their kill rate went up and their efficiency went up as a team.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say that, yeah, I've just seen so many MSPs focus on the utilization and that billable percentage and all that.
No,
but the flow is horrible. There's too much whip.
Yep.
And so you got to focus on fewer things at a time, get the stuff done, and your utilization will take care of itself.
Yeah, the one thing at a time. Fix one ticket, give them the best customer service you can, and close it. It's not always possible. It's why the big industries, they go, time to close a ticket, or how many tickets are closed on first touch. Those are neat. They're not for companies under 100. They're not. And even companies over 100, I'd argue mathematically, it's not the better methodology. And again, we could literally talk about that shit, for like an hour. Okay. But when you employ these Agile methodologies, these pull methodologies, as we call them, instead of push methodologies, you have a team that can outperform the other guys. So what happens then, one of the things that comes along with this is you think about your issue statuses. Now, this is an abbreviated. My issue list is, I think, 12 new, queued, meaning it's in the queue, ready to work, schedule this, scheduled, in progress, and so on. But if you think about it and you take if you look at the statuses and the order that you move through them, you're moving from left to right. Ticket comes in, it's new, we schedule it, we work on it, we're waiting on it, it's waiting on customer, waiting on vendor, waiting on whatever. Maybe it's on hold because it's stuck. We need to get, we're gonna need to talk about how much that new laptop's gonna cost, whatever it is. Maybe it's in review because we want to make sure that there's QC, and then it's finally completed. And what I'd like you to imagine is, if you took those statuses and realized that you're constantly trying to move a ticket through to fruition, to completion, right? So when I say I want to keep work in progress to a minimum, instead of opening a new ticket and calling Carol to see what's wrong with her laptop, I'm going to go look at one of those tickets that needs to be reviewed. I'm going to call Bruce, and I'm going to make sure what we did worked for him, and I'm going to close the ticket. I keep work in progress down. So it always means, again, working highest priority to lowest priority, from oldest ticket to newest ticket, what's closest to being closed, meaning to the right side, and what's in my swim lane. If I'm a tier 2 tech, I stay in tier 2 tickets, okay? I hope that makes sense to everybody. And obviously, we've only got so much time to go through this, but in a nutshell, that's Agile, right? And it's the metrics we care about: work in progress, lead time, cycle time. Yeah, the utilization. The only reason I care about utilization is I want to know that if I hired 5 techs for 40 hours a week, that I'm getting 200 hours of time out of them. That's all I care. That to me is utilization. ConnectWise and those guys say, oh, utilization is how many hours they spent billable. No, that doesn't help you any. I work at what I care about for team performance is how much time did you do techie stuff and how much did you do non-techie stuff? Driving, travel, training, meetings versus fixing shit. Fixing things gives clients value or puts money in your pocket. This other admin stuff, it's necessary, but you keep it to a minimum. If we don't have to drive, we don't. If we have meetings, we don't have stupid 1-hour meetings. We have stand-ups. We might have a huddle for some other thing, but we don't spend our lives in meetings. And training's required. You got to have 1 hour of training a week for every tech, that kind of thing. So we know what our performance should be, okay? So with that, this is your typical service queue. This is ConnectWise. This is what it looks like. It's sorted by priority if you look on the left column. And really quick, by the way, who's using what? What's your PSA, including self-baked? Tell me, what are you using? ConnectWise, you're losing a lot of tasks. You're losing Tiger Paw. What's the little Sprint Spark? I'm trying
Halo.
to think.
Yeah, we got at least one Halo here, a lot of Autotask, a lot of ConnectWise.
Right. Okay. So it is funny because they have different terminology. And Autotask, I call a lot of tasks because they think every ticket has to be owned. ConnectWise, I call Connect Dominoes because they think you're supposed to stack and run. Either way, it's that push methodology and it doesn't work. But when you look at their queue or the board, it always looks like this. I have my preferred methodology of, I want to see the priority. I want to see the ticket number, the summary. I want to know what status it is so I can sort by that. I want to know when the customer's updated it. I want to know, I don't care so much about the resource. I want to know what the budget hours are because the budget should always be larger than the number of hours. I want to know, certain things. This is how we work, and we can get different views like in Autotask. But at the end of the day, a tech can't easily sort this by what's tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. This is where this cool tool comes in, and it's called TopLeft. And Wim focuses on the project side, and I focus on the service delivery side. And so I set up the boards the way I think they should be for my service team. And now this is the very same group of tickets. But what we see is up at the top are our categories: new, ready, in progress, and waiting. And it tells me how many tickets are in each of those statuses. If I look down here, this is tier 1. This is all the work in front of my tier 1s. The color bar tells me the priority. Highest priority is always at the top. These tickets are completed. These ones are scheduled. These ones are waiting on the client. These ones are in progress. These ones are ready. I'm always trying to move things to the right. So my techs come in on the service side, and they're going to work what's closest to closing. Well, these are scheduled, nothing to do. These are waiting on the clients, nothing to do. These ones are in progress by other techs. I'm going to grab the highest priority ticket from the ready pile, and I'm going to work that. I don't need to scroll down it. Sorry, I don't need to scroll down it. Sorry, I don't need to scroll down that list. I know the next ticket is that one at the top, whichever is of the two is either older or highest priority. That's it. If I'm a tier 2, I'm working in the category just below that. If I'm tier 3, I'm working in the category below that. And with his system, you can drag these tickets. You go, oh, this ticket here, turns out a tier 1's not going to do that. We need a tier 2 or tier 3. You can drag it down to the tier 3 column and it'll change it, the skill set. I'm assuming it will, and if not, it will in the very near future. But basically, all of this is drag and drop. It's context. If you look across the bottom of the cards, there's all the most critical things that you need. And by the way, we could literally do an hour just on the features of this board. I just need you to get the concept of how agile this board is versus this horrid list of tickets that are in front of you, right? And so we take a zoom in really quick, and you can see that you can edit the ticket, you can add time to it. What's the D for?
Dispatch and schedule.
Right, if you're going to schedule it, remember in Agile, we're scheduling a verse and we're assigning a verse. It doesn't mean we don't do it, but we try not to, because a ticket that's sitting out there that any tech can work on is going to get closed faster than if it's waiting for that tech. This goes back to that the Little's theory and the queuing theory. If Joe's got 28 tickets in front of him, I can't just keep stacking work in front of him, right? I've got to say, look, if Joe's not the only tier 3 that can do it, then we don't put his name on it, right? That's it. So again, this I can only tell you this board, it is fantastic. If I've got the right size team, this is the solution I want to use, because it fits exactly in with working tickets, highest priority, lowest, oldest to newest, what's in my swim lane, what's closest to being closed. And the techs don't have to sort through this list to figure out what's next. It's pretty straightforward, right? Now, there's room. The client calls and says, hey, what are you doing? You haven't fixed my shit. I can go find that ticket. I can go just take care of the customer, and I get back to my work. But when we work in this method, we know that it's more efficient, significantly more efficient. Okay, so I've covered like a whole bunch of stuff. We have anything you want to add or ask up to this point?
Yeah, just thinking of the you had the pizza example, right? Of the cycle time and everything, and just the key thing is like not starting more pizzas until your pizzas are done, right? Like you can only have so many pizzas in production at a time. So if the orders are coming in, you can't start the pizza as soon as the order comes in. You got to wait until you have capacity.
Like I worked in restaurants. I've worked in manufacturing plants. My background, my degrees are in automation. I'm telling you, after like 40 years, this methodology is significantly superior for so many reasons. And I see it in so many industries. In a restaurant, in the back, they've only got so much grill to lay steaks down on. They've only got so much counter to fold pies on. You go to move from one place to the other, and you put all your boxes in the house and they're in the front room, and you start unloading the kitchen, and you get 8 boxes in there, and you open most of them up, and you're putting shit away, and then pretty soon you don't have room to walk. You have to start closing, emptying those boxes, breaking them down, and getting them out before you can open another one, right? It is everywhere you look for it. You will see work in progress kills. When I'm working on projects like writing a book or doing whatever, the more shit I have, the less I can focus on the most important thing, and the more it takes time. And you're going to talk about time thieves in a minute. So to move on quick, this thing I talk about, the IT service delivery run guide, I developed a thing. It's just released a couple months ago called the IT service group coaching. And it's for those people who are in pursuit of excellence through service metric-driven processes and performance. It's not just for people who've gone through my Agile Service Delivery Masterclass. It's for anybody that wants to start building a backlog and understanding the backlog in front of their team, how to tune it, how to get the numbers and how to manage by that. And it's once a month. It's every Tuesday at 2. There's a link at the bottom of the slide. For those who are interested, there is the Agile Service Delivery Masterclass, which is 8 one-hour sessions that tells you everything you need to know about, again, the IT service run guide, 10 golden rules, working in real time, all of the basics, getting your statuses set up, getting your priorities, your workflows, your escalation, de-escalation, and then adding the Agile mindset to it, right? And even if you don't go Agile, you still need this other service process. And so the reason I'm telling you that is these 2 things, only because of Wim and TopLeft are they available to you, and he's going to talk more about that in a minute, that you can get into the IT service group coaching for $149 a month instead of $199. You can get into the Agile Service Delivery Masterclass for, I think it's 25% off or something like that, at $375 a seat. And that's for one. If you need multiple, the price goes farther down, and all you have to do is this TopLeft code. But again, Wim's got some more stuff for that. So in the group, nobody's put anything in the questions. Anybody got any questions? I know I covered a whole bunch
one person had problems posting in the Zoom Q&A. I couldn't send. So Stephen asks, so when a tech hits a stopping point, do they remove themselves from the assigned to and enter their next action?
So if you're in ConnectWise, and here's the cool thing. You remember I said highest priority, lowest priority, oldest to newest, what's in my swim lane skill set, what has my fingerprints on it? In Autotask, it took us a bit to figure this out. In Autotask, actually, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. In Autotask, it always has rooms for tech and the next tech. So if I work on it, I put my name on it, I go work on it, I put in my notes, shit, I didn't get to close it, and I put it back in queue because we're going to come back tomorrow because we ran out of time, end of the day, or I don't have access to the area. Come back the next day, I'm on project. Wim grabs the ticket, it's got my name as the resource. He pushes my name to the second spot and puts his name there. So now that ticket has my fingerprints because I'm the person that worked on it second to last. And Wim's got his fingerprints on it because he's the one that worked on it last. So we just use that resource because Autotask requires there to be a resource for the workflows to work. And we just use that resource as whose fingerprints. In ConnectWise, same thing. You can have multiple, I think. But you basically go, who's the last person to work it? You don't remove your name, but you don't focus on the fact that my name's on it. We don't sort by Manny to see how many tickets Manny's got and by Wim. We sort highest priority, lowest priority, oldest, newest, who don't give 2 quarters, whose name is on it. If that's the next highest priority ticket, that's the oldest, that's the one I work unless I don't understand what's going on or I can't fix it. It's not in my swim lane or I don't have time. I look at that ticket and it says time estimate is 4 hours and it's 4 o'clock. I'm not starting that ticket. I'll move on, right? And there's a whole lot of nuances, but I hope that answers the question.
It's kind of treating the work like, don't treat it like your pet, like this is your ticket or man, I own it and I'm going to fight with it till it's dead or close in 3 weeks.
No more of that. Yeah, and
the team owns it. It's a system. Yeah.
You gotta trust me. I've done this for a lot of years. I've got a client who's up in New York, 65 techs. He just sent me one of my best recommendations about helping him with his organization over the years to get agile, and they'll never go back. They will never go back. You have to get away from that and let go of that. I own that ticket. No, we got 5 techs that can fix that shit. Why does it have to be you, right? So I noticed Richard says in TopLeft, who decides what ticket goes in which lane? 10 golden rules. All work is done against a ticket. All tickets have a quality estimate. Somewhere in there in the training, I mentioned what is a quality ticket. And it starts with the call script. Hi, I'm Manuel. This is TopLeft. What can I help you with? Is this a new or existing ticket? And I create the ticket or I update the ticket. When I create the ticket, as a service coordinator, if I'm technically inclined, I look at that and I know there's this thing I call the common issue best practice spreadsheet. But if not, I take it on its face and say, I know that that's not going to take more than 15 minutes. And I put 15 minutes on it. That's it. Oh, what skill set? That's a printer fix. A tier 1 can do that. Now, when they go to work on it and they find out that's not true, or it's going to take longer, it's not what you understood, the tech can up the tech skill level required. They can up the estimate of time. They can even throw it over the fence from help desk because it's just not going to happen quickly to support desk and all of that's again that escalation thing. but every ticket's a quality ticket. It's always got the right time estimate, the right priority, the right skill set required, but it all starts with the initial qualitization.
So Richard follows up. Yeah, he's like, he means in terms of, is it tier 1, 2, or 3 or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, like if you have a non-technical service coordinator, he or she's got a cheat sheet that she builds over time. New client onboarding or new workstation install, new user install, 45 minutes, 48 minutes, whatever, 45, 50, 50, 28, whatever. And she throws those numbers on there. Now, she doesn't know we've got the service manager looking out for it. And in Agile, we actually have owners for each of the help desk, support desk boards. So let's say Bruce is the help desk lead. He looks at a ticket and it says 999. He goes, no, it's not 999 minutes. He opens it and realizes that Carol, the service coordinator, didn't know what to put, and he puts the right 30 minutes. Okay. So there's a support group, there's a methodology to it, but no ticket is going to go with the wrong status. And she knows a lot of those are marked. The tickets are marked. Onboarding, tier 1s can do that, or tier 2s. So what else?
Judy has a good question around the scalability of this. It's something that you talked a little bit, you're going quickly, right? But the pull method not being preferred for MSPs under 100.
And even the funny thing is, even at that, if I were working at HP or Microsoft, you're going to find if you go look in there, their system is optimized that, think about this, when you call in and you got Carol at Amazon, and then you lose that call and you have to call back in, they're not going to call you back. Are you going to get Carol? No. You're going to get the next tech who has the same skill set that can solve that problem for you, and they're going to read the notes and they're going to help you. They too are working in a pull methodology, pull methodology agile. I'm saying that no company under 100 should even be using the push methodology because they don't have enough breadth of team anyway. But when it comes to efficiency, I don't care what size organization, I would not be using stack and run. I would only be using agile. Because if you got a team that's remote in India or Wisconsin, all of a sudden agile makes it so much easier to move things around. So if it's not in progress, then it should be worked by the next tech who can pull. Yeah. I mean, if it's in progress, by the way, how many tickets should be in progress at any one time? Exactly, no more than the number of techs you have. If you have 5 techs, you better not have more than 5 tickets in progress. Okay. What else? Anything else we're missing?
I was going to say, with the Agile and Kanban, it goes to enterprise. So there's movements. There's like Kanban University, where it's like Kanban at the enterprise level, like thousands, tens of thousands of employees using these pull-based workflows, very high operational maturity. When
you get into that, now you're into ITIL. And ITIL, the funny thing is ITIL doesn't prescribe how you should do your day-to-day operations. They talk about the infrastructure and how this should be laid out, but they all have to end up intelligently knowing that it should be agile. It's funny why ConnectWise and Autotask, when you read their stuff, Autotask now has a Kanban board, by the way. It still sucks because you can't sort by priority, but at least they're trying. But ConnectWise, it still doubles down on push technology, push concept, stack and run. I know that's all. We've covered a whole bunch of stuff, and I know I don't want to cut you short, so whatever.
Yeah, and just watching our time, let me go through what I have left here on the.
You're all okay going another couple minutes over, because I don't want Wim to miss out. I want you guys to miss out on what he's going to say.
I'm here to yeah, I can stay as long as there's questions and dialogue. So
good. Okay. And there'll be a recording. We're not gonna cut the recording in an hour, so fine, good. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that's the big problem out there in this space. And that's why I started TopLeft. Is like, what do I do? What should I be doing next? Because there's a lot of inputs. We have all these dashboards, all these screens, and it's overwhelming. ConnectWise has dashboards, Bright Gauge, all these things. And because a lot of types of work, you got your client projects, change requests, you got the help desk, there's training, you got to do your training. You can't totally abandon these things. Lots of people involved internally, your clients, vendors, lots of communication channels. Phone is like very small part of what we do. Email, Teams, Slack, people popping up your desk, there's on site. So how do you manage that?
Interrupt driven.
Yeah. So that's, but yeah, one of our clients, Steve at TIBA, he's presented on the past and to our clients, he improved his project flow by 57% using the exact same methods that Manuel presented on. So this is on service projects. You can apply this in sales, marketing. This is everywhere. Once you start to see the idea of work in progress, work flowing left to right. And his thing is just reducing that work in progress. He learned that max 5 projects in process, and everything flowed so much better, getting projects done early and under budget. Clients were happier. So let's take, this exercise takes maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes to do, which shows that impact of context switching. So yeah, just I'll start a timer here in a minute, but grab a pen and paper or a notepad or Word or something, and write 6 names in a list. I'm gonna get my timer up.
It doesn't matter. My name, your name, anybody.
And any names, yeah. I just put my kids' names, but conveniently I got 6 kids, so it works out really well.
I got
so
one.
Write down 6 names, and call out or put in the chat when you're done. So let's go. Got some dones at 5 seconds already, 10 seconds. Okay.
I'm done.
So, okay. So that was quick. Now we're going to do this again, but this time instead of writing it normal left to right, you're going to do the first letter of every name. So on this list, it would be NWEJMJ, and then you're going to go back and do the second letter on all the names, the third letter until you're done all the names.
Writing across, so almost like a new name made from the first letters, the second letters.
Yeah, so you can use the same names if you like. Just go top to bottom instead of left to right, and go. It's gonna take forever. Yep. Okay, Judy's done. First at 18 seconds.
She used 3-letter names.
Diana at 24. So that's taking like
I'm
10
done.
times faster.
Let's see. That's why, yeah, all 3-letter names.
So we're still getting people finishing here 40 seconds in. So that's context switching. That's multitasking. When we're going between our project and our email, our ticket and a phone call, ticket and Teams, like these chat systems just destroy focus.
Oh my God. But it's this evil thing, but it's powerful if it's used right. But man, it is a time suck. People don't realize it.
Yeah. So we're going to design the system for our people so they get time to focus at least a few hours in a day, just one thing at a time, nothing else in your mind. On to the next. So very key. Again, we've talked about maximizing flow. Too much of our work, it's just waiting. So we don't want our tickets waiting. We want it moving forward. It's like rotting fruit on the counter. It goes bad really quick. That banana, it's never going to last more than a week on the counter unless it was like totally green when you started. But so we're going to visualize it, keep it moving.
And what people don't realize, the wait part. This is why big corporations say, oh, we want the highest kill rate on initial call so that we don't have a wait. We just go work done. But this is also why we have escalation and proper escalation levels. Because if I'm on help desk and I don't escalate at a certain mark, then that ticket's just waiting until we work on it again. If I escalate it, now it's in a different queue with a team that has different resources and different bandwidth and different skill set, and the wait isn't as long. I mean, there's all kinds of things that add to this.
Yep. And the more you got waiting, the more you're moving around. It's like when you're emptying your groceries, you got these boxes on the floor, you're gonna move them because you're tripping, right? Like you're wasting so much time.
Bottleneck rules. Number one thing is, why are we waiting? I'm waiting on Joe because he's the only guy that knows how to do that, or it's his ticket. No, Bruce knows how to do that. Take the name off, stop assigning it, and let either one get to it. Your wait time is shorter. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. There's a lot of stuff I could show in a demo here, real-time demo. I'm happy to do that. Is there, let's actually just drag this over. So are you guys seeing my screen here?
So I'm gonna make sure we're clear. What you're proposing is you're using your Kanban pointed at the project side of ConnectWise or Autotask.
Yep.
It has a horrible project management tool. and you're making order out of chaos as
You
far
bet.
as,
Yeah.
okay.
So yeah, it's all the same concept, same kind of view, just on projects. So
Yeah,
this
the
is a
back end
project
of
as a whole.
this is ConnectWise on the back end, right?
Yep, this is ConnectWise. Yep.
Right. But it
Same
doesn't
in
look like
Autotask. Yep.
that. Yeah.
Same. It looks. This is all the same in Autotask. So Kanban board, but for your entire project, not your task or your ticket breakdown, your project as a whole. So you can see that whole left to right flow as well. Again, you can call your columns whatever you like: quoted, credit approved, etc. So drag and drop, moving them around. Some highlighting if it's over budget, etc. So you could.
There's a lot. Yeah, you could do an entire session just on
Yeah.
the features of how you can set your cards up.
Yeah, there's Gantt charts in here. You can drill in and see, okay, where my phase is at on this project. So swim lane by phase. You can go, so here's a swim lane by each phase, see how it's doing.
Did I mention I want 10% if ConnectWise or Autotask buys this product from you, right?
Sorry?
I want 10% if
10%.
ConnectWise or Autotask when they buy this
Okay.
product.
No, we've not signed on that one.
I know. I should have done that 7 years ago.
Let's talk. No. Yeah, so swim lane by project. So you can see, are there projects on track? Are they moving forward? Is there too much in progress? Things overloaded. Again, I'm just going really quick here. Just lots of views, very flexible on your columns, how much per card, your visualization rules, what your swim lanes are by client. So this one is by engineer. So it could be used in a huddle, see what's going on for what is assigned to people. What are they doing like right now? So in my in progress in this board. Actually, I've lost all my in progress on my demo board here. What's waiting? Can they take on more work, or should we be pulling it away to other people and getting it done?
Yeah, we're back. Yeah, backlog, right? Understanding your backlog.
Backlog.
Fred says, Richard says AT projects are a joke. That's why he wrote this. He started with ConnectWise, and we've been talking together about Agile for 6, 7, almost 7 years, right?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And Ryan says, can I ask AI to do it for me? You could, but you'd have to have AI plugged into the API. By the way, I'm working on using an API to get that backlog report to be automated. This is no small task. If you want AI to get in there, you first have to get all the data out, and then you've got to build all of the structure to go with it. And I wouldn't even bother with that task. I wouldn't. If there's no human element, you're going to have problems. There has to be a human element for them to make a decision that when Carol calls, just take care of the customer. AI won't do that. I mean, yet. It'd be a lot of work.
Yeah. And yes, this is a view a technician could see, filtering just to see his or her tickets. So very clean. It's honoring the global prioritization that the team has decided, or the manager or coordinator has decided, and very clear what they're doing, what's next. I would say there's a question earlier in the chat about that, is who's assigning, and there's different levels to this, like going full on to what Manuel recommended. That's a pretty big change. So it might be you start with this kind of pull-based flow, and then you get towards and the team owning it and such. So there's different flows, there's different levels to this to transition into it.
Yeah. Nate, we all love AI. The graphics Wim had up there was made from AI, and it's an awesome freaking graphic, right? Skynet is coming. Yeah, Skynet's been here. It's been here for a bit. If you lean into this technology, the reason Wim and I get so excited about this is we've seen what it can do for your organization. And we're constantly, we don't talk to each other for 6 or 7 months. And then we're like, we got to do a thing, because we want people to know, he wants to sell you that tool. I want to sell you my course. I want to help you get better. But we need people to know that Agile, it is so superior of a methodology. And there are some books, some reading books. You got a blog on the reading list.
You have a blog post recommended reading, right? So making work visible.
Oh.
I'm actually doing a webinar on that in 2 weeks, presenting this book.
Oh, that is
and the Phoenix Project. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the guy's name in that Phoenix Project? The savant.
Brent.
No, is he the guy that he goes to every time he gets in trouble, and the guy?
He becomes the bottleneck. Brent.
No, Brent's the bottleneck. Who's the guy that every time the guy in charge, he goes and visits this guy at his production plant? What's his name?
Oh, Eric.
Eric.
Yeah.
I like to tell people I'm basically Eric, right? When it comes to your service delivery process, you come to me and tell me where your problem is. I'll help you sort it out. It's really cool stuff. So
Okay.
what else you got?
So results here. Tennille, one of our clients, improved utilization by 100% for 2 engineers when they move from a dispatch model like stack and run to a agile flow, and that's in less than a month. And reduced, didn't need the dispatcher anymore. So huge results.
I always tell people that you can double your throughput. That's exactly what they did.
Yeah. And lots of results from other clients, including Judy, who's here today, reducing block tickets from 18 to 11, active from 34 to 11. That might have been a while ago, but they're still loving it. I mentioned the code or the discount on Manuel's content. So there's 2 parts. There's the masterclass, all the content. That's like 10 or 15 hours of videos and such, right?
The masterclass is 8 hours.
8 hours, yeah.
Yeah, and if you can go alone, you can take a class for one person and try to teach it to your team. You can take it for everybody on the team and go together. And if you have trouble, you need implementation, you can go through the course and I can coach you through it for an implementation to get it up and running and get you moving.
So the masterclass is the content, and then there's the monthly huddle, which you get the 25% discount, as well as you can work on one-on-one with Manuel about that in your company. Okay.
But TopLeft is the tool, right? I mean, if you really want you can work with Autotask. I'll teach you how to do it in Autotask and ConnectWise, working with what you have for the boards. But if you want to go truly agile, you need TopLeft. I mean, it's the only way you're going to see the Kanban the way it's meant to be seen for projects and for service delivery. Yeah,
so I'm going to post these in the chat. Is that actually? So if you're not a client, you can. We do offer today from this event is free onboarding if you get into a 3 months paid pilot or a 1-year commitment, as well as for an existing client. We've actually totally revamped our onboarding, so we're taking clients to the re-onboarding. So we'd love to invite you to that as well, at no charge. And normally that would be $650 for new clients, but we want to make sure all our clients are at the same level, treated the same way as a new client. So there's a link to either book a demo or book a call with customer success to talk about the onboarding. So I guess I'd love to hear in the chat is what's one thing from what we've presented today that you're going to work on the next this week, or maybe the rest of the week or tomorrow. Maybe one of the 10 rules that Manuel presented, something else. What's something you're going to do? Get the book a meeting. What is it?
Reduce your work in progress. Get your priorities figured out in your PSA.
Yeah. Question. Halo is being worked on. That's about 2 months away there.
Okay. Yeah. I still haven't seen Halo. Is it pretty well laid out?
There's good things, good workflow engine, good things in there, but still
no Kanban.
On the Kanban, even it's there, but I've had 100+ people reach out wanting TopLeft for Halo, even with their Kanban functionality.
Do they? And I mean, yeah, it's so funny how they use Agile to build this software in the back end, but they don't really know how to use Agile in the front end for the service delivery.
Yep. Okay, and Judy says her focus is time estimates on tickets. Yeah, very important. Frederick says quality communications. That's huge. That starts with listening. We don't listen well enough, so there's good resources on that. Emotional intelligence, reading between the lines, reading deeper. What are the feelings? What's going on?
How many of you are doing customer surveys to find out how your service delivery is doing? Because if you start doing this Agile Service Delivery Masterclass, or you change your process to use TopLeft, you need to start gauging where you're at to start with. And if you don't have that, if you don't have your finger on the pulse of the customer, how they're doing, you can't make adjustments that are necessary, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You should have you don't have to go get Smileback or one of those. You can ask for a thing in both PSAs. Have a mechanism for getting a customer sat. right? Or you send out separate emails. It doesn't matter. That's first, it shows great communications. And the customers think you at least care because you're asking. But man, if they fill them out, the best things you can get are the ones that aren't 100%. I want the ones that are 15 or 20. You suck, it took too long. Why did this happen? What, all of that kind of stuff.
Yep. Okay, any final questions from anyone there?
What do you want to see on your next time we get together? What do you guys want to see more of? I know Wim's putting on some more stuff. What are you putting on the end of this month? In a couple weeks?
Doing the yeah, Ryan, I think you'd be on our list already, so for sure. Yeah, I'm presenting on the 5 time thieves, making work visible.
Oh yeah.
Just yeah, because they're hidden. So, and they're insidious, invisible time thieves, exposing those for what they are.
Have you done a
time back.
bottlenecks already or not?
Not one on bottlenecks, no.
Oh.
And then we do have, I mentioned to Neil, one of her clients, she's coming in to present on the dispatch eliminator process, how she went from eliminate dispatch and went to a pull-based flow, how to roll that out in a team. So she's presenting. And then got some other clients presenting as well through this fall. So we'll be doing like 3-4 webinars every month moving forward. So lots there. And then, yeah, today, a lot of, I think the people on this session were our clients, probably 60-70%. The trust it was useful for them. So maybe on an advanced higher level. Judy, getting buy-in from other ones. So actually, Tennille will be presenting on that because her CFO was really resistant to moving to a pull-based flow, and she overcame that.
It's the funny thing is that it is convincing people, right, that this is beneficial. There is a proof of time, and the only way you can really know it is if you start a backlog and tracking your time and all of those, and then you move to a pull technology, and you will see your ticket count drop, your performance move up. It's just it's a mathematical truth that we know because we've done it enough times.
Yeah. Getting technicians to actually do the proper ticket etiquette, I would say, a revision without whipping them. I think it's just visualizing it, like pulling up the Kanban board in a huddle, and then it's obvious that, hey, your statuses are wrong, you haven't done your time entry. That the system is showing that with the warnings and everything. I think that's pretty powerful. You don't have to verbally bring it up and nag, because nagging is such bad energy. To just show them what good is and why it's important.
Yeah.
Just by using it.
It is a matter of, and I talk about it in the course, you've got to get everybody on board and agree that they're going to help you do this.
Yeah.
And I said there'll be skinned knees, there'll be hurt feelings. You might lose a tech, hopefully not one that you want to keep. You might lose a client, hopefully not one that you don't want to keep, who wants you to be interrupt driven at the moment's notice all the time. And I promise you'll come out the other side of it so much better off.
Yep. Okay. We don't have any more questions there, and we're at the top of the hour or past. So thankful for everyone for being here. Thank you, Manuel, for a fantastic presentation.
Yeah,
and
thanks.
We'll be sending out the recording. So if you got clients or friends or peers, other MSPs who haven't seen this, could benefit from it, yeah, pass it along. And thanks again, and enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon for most people, I guess. So
Cool.
very good. All right.
Yeah.